I mean, Israel is weak, but it still carries a knockout blow. Hezbollah is the leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, is a very astute leader and a man who has been very good at escalation management. The goal here isn't to the goal here isn't to further Hezbollah's strategic objectives. The strategic objective of the axis of resistance, which Hezbollah is a part of, is to get a Palestinian state and in the process eliminate the Zionist entity known as Israel. But the priority is get a Palestinian state. Hamas has initiated through its military raid of October 7th a sequence of events that has now made the possibility of a Palestinian state as real as it's been at any time. The world is aligned to this. There are nations that are recognizing Palestine, and any solution to this problem must include, and the United States concurs, discussion of a two-state solution. And now people say, well, Scott, a two-state solution doesn't solve the problem. It does, and I'll tell you why. Because a two-state solution, A, allows for the creation of a Palestinian state, and B, creates the conditions for the dissolution of Israel. Because Israel can't exist in a two-state configuration. And when the world says there must be a two-state solution, Israel will have to agree to that, and then they have to do certain things like dismantle the West Bank settlements. And that's the end of Israel. The second they start dismantling the West Bank settlements, Israel will break up into a veritable civil conflict. And when it's put down, as it will be put down, the Brooklyn Jews who have settled in West Bank will come home to America. They'll leave. And now you start to see population flight from Israel. You'll see the population drop precipitously. And when it reaches a certain level, Israel is no longer viable as a nation state, and it will be absorbed into a singular entity known as Palestine. So that's the objective of Hamas. Hezbollah is a supporting operation. They've been very good at maintaining pressure on Israel, but Hezbollah doesn't want the conflict in Lebanon to become the main attraction. And so that's the purpose of escalation management. So that's why they're not finished, because they're on the path of winning this. But you have to keep the focus on the Gaza, on Palestine, on creation of a Palestinian state. You can't turn this into an existential struggle between Hezbollah and Israel.
I don't even know if I have the right questions.
That's a good question.
This is the second time today my internet went out. All right, let's try this. Why is Israel scared to go to war with Hezbollah?
Because they're going to lose. That's the problem. Israel has lost two conflicts with Hezbollah. People tend to forget that Hezbollah successfully evicted Israel from southern Lebanon back in 2000, and that Hezbollah fought Israel to a standstill in 2006. Since that time, Hezbollah has been singularly focused on fighting Israel, on forestalling Israeli objectives, on being prepared to overcome whatever defenses Israel has and to repel whatever offensive capability Israel has. Israel in 2022 and 2023, prepared war games. I think the 2023 version was called Operation Chariots of Fire. And it was a stress test to test whether or not the IDF could fight all of Israel's enemies at the same time. And the short answer is, even with American help, they can't. They lost both times. But the politicians don't care about exercises. They say, we want to do X, Y, and Z. And one of the things that the Israeli politicians would like to do is go to war against Hezbollah and finish that to eliminate the threat to northern Israel. The problem is, in both those war games that Israel lost, they started it with their army at full strength. All their tanks were good, all their men were fresh, all their units were intact, and they could put, fully 60, 70% of their military on the border with Hezbollah and fight that conflict. Never once in these war games did they envision that Hamas would have launched an attack outside of Gaza that dragged Israel into a lengthy war of attrition that lasted several months, exhausting the IDF both materially and in terms of its manpower before they would go to war against a Hezbollah organization that has retained the near totality of its lethality. Yes, Hezbollah has suffered some casualties, but they are organizationally, they're structurally intact, and they're fully capable of exercising all of the options that they prepared for. Israel is not. The Israeli Defense Force has acknowledged that they are running out of tanks because Hamas keeps dinging them. They have to pull them out and repair them, and they're out of spare parts because Israel never once considered that they would be in a situation where they're fighting a war for 9 consecutive months that has this high of an attrition rate. So they're out of tanks, their manpower is exhausted, they're running out of ammunition. Israel's just not in any position to take on Hezbollah. So, you asked the question, why are they scared of Hezbollah? It's because they can't win, and they're concerned about the consequences of defeat because they could lose northern Israel, physically lose it to Hezbollah.
Yeah, sorry. So my question was, how do you think that the Houthis will retaliate against Israel? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I got that one. How do I think the Houthi will retaliate against Israel? First of all, the Houthi will use whatever resources they have available to, there's the answer, MF-71. I think it's more than hinted. It's going to happen. Putin hinted at it, not necessarily to the Houthis, but Putin, after the United States gave ATACMS missiles to Ukraine, and Ukraine fired an ATACMS missile that malfunctioned over a beach in Sevastopol, killing civilians. The Russians said, "That's it. We blame the United States. We hold the United States accountable, and we will do something." Everybody expected that Russia would directly retaliate. Then Russia said, "Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to give weapons to the enemies of the United States and its allies." And then those nations will use those weapons against you. Similar, like you gave weapons to Ukraine, they used it against Russia. We're going to give weapons to other people. But they said, we're considering this option. After Israel attacked Yemen, Lavrov, who chaired a Security Council meeting, made a statement to the effect of, we're not going to be sitting on the sidelines forever, meaning that we're going to get involved in this. At the same time, Russia inked a defense agreement cooperation agreement with Iran. And I'm fairly confident that there's a secret annex to that allows for the transfer of Russian weapons to Iran and for Iran to transfer those weapons to Yemen so that the Houthi now will be armed with advanced Russian anti-shipping weapons and surface-to-surface missiles that can evade Israeli air defense. And that then I think, the Houthi will use those weapons to great effect against Israel. So that's the direction I think they're heading. Or, Iran may transfer some of their own enhanced weapons to the Houthi. The Houthi have talked about having hypersonic capability. We'll see. I'll answer Doda's question in a second. We'll see. If they can employ that or what. But there's no doubt that the Houthi are going to retaliate and that they're going to do significant damage. The Houthi have shown themselves to be extraordinarily advanced in their war-fighting capabilities, but the sophistication of their thought, the sophistication of their weapons, their tactics. These just aren't primitive people wearing sandals with daggers stuffed in their belt. These guys know how to fight. They know how to use weapons to great effect. They have successfully blockaded Israel. And they have successfully caused the United States Navy to back down. So I think when they say they're going to retaliate against Israel, they will retaliate. That little question down on the bottom dealt with RC-135. That's what we call a rivet joint signals intelligence platform, electronic intelligence platform. It's used to intercept signals, but also used to intercept signals, used to intercept communications, but also signals, radar signatures, etc. The Global Hawk used to fly a pattern in the Black Sea, collecting data. about Russia, about air defense, etc. The belief was that data was being sent to Ukraine and enabling Ukraine to launch some of the successful attacks that they had. Russia basically said, we're going to shoot down the Global Hawk, and so the United States pulled the Global Hawk from that task. Right now, the British are flying an RC-135 that has 2 Eurofighters escorting it, and it's fulfilling the same task as, I believe, as the Global Hawk did. It's collecting intelligence about Russian military capabilities and enabling the Ukrainians to launch attacks with some effect. I mean, a Russian airfield was hit. Russia took losses. At some point in time, Russia may say that the RC-135 has, because it's an act of war. I mean, that's what I don't understand is the British have to know that you've put up an aircraft that has, a significant sized crew in there. They're collecting intelligence. It's being fed to the Ukrainians so they can attack Russia and kill Russia. It's the Russians. At some point in time, the Russians are going to say, enough's enough. We're taking that aircraft out. And when they do, that'll be a tragedy for the crew members on board because they'll all die. But it will also be something that could be called an act of war, and it could lead to an escalation. So the British are playing a very dangerous game here.
Yeah, Scott, I have a question. I don't know if you noticed a couple of months ago, there was a report by Amjad Basisi. He was in the cyber team in the CIA. And he said that they were watching Trump because they didn't trust him. They saw him as an insider threat. And we know with the cybersecurity team capabilities that they can hack the inner circle of the Trump staff. They can see the scheduling. They can also hack the Secret Service. And they also had the Mossad assigned to that task watching Trump because they didn't trust him. My question is where's the CIA's where's their report about the assassination on Trump, and what do they know on that undercover investigation that O'Keefe Media made with that CIA cyber programmer? He was a high-ranking official, and he talked about that. That's my first question. The second question I wanted to ask about directed energy weapons attacks. It happens to a lot of Americans. They're harassed, they're swatted. And every time they complain, including my family, we get attacked by these directed energy weapons a lot. And I believe it's for political reasons. So have you heard about this issue in the United States where a lot of American families were being attacked? Is the questions clear or?
No, the questions are clear. Thank you for the questions. I'll respond on the directed energy. Well, I'm not cognizant of that. That's, I've heard about it, but I can't add anything to that. I'm just not a specialist on it, I guess I can do some research, but that's not on my radar. I always have to be careful with, I know who Mr. O'Keefe is, and I know the work he's done, but I also know how the CIA operates, and I know that the cybersecurity aspect of their work is extraordinarily secret. And protected by a bunch of laws. And if O'Keefe actually interviewed one of these guys and this guy was leaking information that was real, O'Keefe would be in jail. He'd be silenced, straight up silenced, because this is no mess around kind of information. And whoever was leaking it would be in prison, hunted down and put in prison. I don't know if this guy disguised his identity, etc. But if he's speaking like this, he's violating a whole bunch of laws, unless, of course, the things that you're talking about are criminal. Now, what you're talking about here, the CIA being involved in the monitoring, either directly or indirectly, of Trump's is a crime, unless they have a warrant. It doesn't sound like they have a warrant. It sounds like they're just doing it, if this is indeed the case, they're just doing it to collect it for domestic political purposes, which again is something the CIA is not supposed to be involved in. I would be shocked if the guy that Mr. O'Keefe spoke to was the real deal. And the reason why I say that is this is not something the CIA would, I don't believe the CIA would be involved in. It's not that they're not capable of getting involved in this kind of, it's just kind of really stupid kind of stuff. There's ways that you can accomplish much of that, and you can do it legally. Trump is a private citizen. If there's any reason to believe that Trump is doing something illegally, communicating with people he shouldn't be, then there's ways to get warrants that allow the collection to take place. That doesn't require the CIA to commit any number of felonies. And one of the reasons why the CIA would be hesitant to commit any number of felonies is because of the potential scenario of somebody speaking out of school and the documents showing up and all this kind of stuff. You mentioned the Mossad. Here's where it does get into the realm of possibility. The NSA and the CIA, people will say, well, Scott, it's the NSA that does this kind of collection. Not necessarily exclusively. The CIA runs special collection teams that have specialized tasks. The CIA can do certain things by combining human intelligence together with cyber to do things. Both the NSA and the CIA have a history of using foreign governments to collect intelligence on American citizens that would otherwise be prohibited by American law if American groups were doing this. And we usually we work with the Canadians that way. All this internet traffic goes through Canada. The Canadians are monitoring everything. The U.S. isn't allowed to. The Canadians can. They're monitoring the hell out of it, and then they can send reports to the U.S. The U.S. can query the Canadian system, and then we do the same thing for the Canadians. We monitor the hell out of Canadian citizens, and the Canadians can query us. So there's workarounds for all of this. They're dirty as hell, but I would be shocked if the CIA was doing something like that for to monitor Donald Trump. It's an unnecessary step. Like I said, there's ways that can be done legally. Why go out and